Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Una de nuestros grandes regalos es tener acceso a información y todas estas herramientas, all these tools that the teachers has left for all of us to be used for our own benefit and the benefit of many. Tipiso bhagava araham sama sambuddho vichacharana sampano sukato lokavedu anutaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manusanam buddho bhagavati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. One of the qualities of the Buddha, as we just recite, is that teacher of those who are able to train and purify themselves. That's one of the qualities of the Buddha. The driver or the charioteer of the ones who wish to be free from suffering. Okay, my dear family, welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be together again. And let's start with the content of the day.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. So we're going to, today we are going to talk about the different qualities of the sincere wholesome karma. But before that, there are a few things concerning the unwholesome karma of previous sessions that we haven't tell you yet, and we need to tell you about that. So we will go back a little bit, just a little bit about unwholesome karma, and then we will go to wholesome karma. Is everybody listening well? Volume, it's okay? Yes? Okay.
Projection is okay? Everyone?
Yes? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now, last time when we were talking about the unwholesome akusala karma, I told you that the result of unwholesome karma during patisandhi, during rebirth time, will happen in the 4 lower realms. That means that the unwholesome karma will give rebirth result in the 4 lower realms. And during lifetime, it will be possible, of course, in the 4 lower realms, and then also in the human planes, and also in the deva planes. And I mentioned that it is possible for Brahma beings to experience also akusala vipaka, but it doesn't happen in the fine material planes. Yes, I told you like that last time. So I go back to check the books, and then I found out that actually it is written that it is also possible in the fine material planes, in the rupa planes.
To have what?
To have arupa. To have akusala vipaka.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I thought I have to correct this information. So it is possible also for unwholesome resultants to happen in the fine material realms.
That means in the Brahmas
during lifetime.
In Pawati time, during lifetime.
Yes.
So the fruits of our bad actions can give a result. Yes, Diegazo. Can give results in the fine material as well. Sí, Diegas. Welcome.
Can you give one example? Hi.
Yes, yes. And actually, I have to ask our teacher of what real incidents have happened, because I don't know any. But what those lifetime results is actually those results of the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, and receiving consciousness, and investigating consciousness, no? As we see. So during lifetime, it can only produce this kind of rootless resultant as for unwholesome karma, no? So in this case, since Rupa Brahmin, they are fine material Brahmins, they still have eyes, they still have ears, but they don't have no sensitivity, and they don't have taste sensitivity, and they don't have touch sensitivity. So the only akusala vipaka that can happen to them is either they see something not nice, or they hear something not nice. And also for receiving consciousness and investigating consciousness, that you already know that happens in the 5 sense lower mental process, no? Because if there's eye consciousness, then there must be receiving and investigating before jhavana happens, no? So these 4 kinds are the only akusala vipaka that can happen in the Brahman realms and for the Brahmins. So for example, what can it be? So they might see something that is not agreeable, or something that they can hear, or some other Brahmins say something that are not nice. But according to our teacher, since they are their mind are very well developed and very calm, and they don't, basically there is no dosa, does not arise for them. There can be some kind of lobha or some other things. Mild can be
ego or sense of self is something that is documented in the scriptures, because there were different interactions between the Buddha and some Brahmins, and apparently the most intense one was based on, since the Brahmins can live, Brahmas can live for very, very long periods of time. Often they were considering themselves as gods. That's why it is often called divine beings, even in our common language. And actually, apparently, the Brahma that the Hindus believe on, it might be one of those who live for so long, and actually, since they have no materiality, with their minds, as we imagine things, they can create things. That's why the idea of infinite life and mental power of creation happens. So apparently, in many of the stories in the suttas, some of the interactions with the Brahmins, the Buddha actually many of the times he was teaching them ways to develop a sense of realism, humility, and helping them to see the obsession they were having with the idea about themselves, meaning ego. So definitely, akusala mental states continue to happen, and as we know in nature, depending on the seed, is the fruit. So we will ask more details to Sadhu when we, because Charana was checking. So okay.
From this point, yes. So what Bhante was saying is the Javana partner is the action that they're actually doing, but we're talking about result now. So the result can be, our teacher, he said one time, he said that in the Brahman realms, they are very, their mind is very calm and very gentle. So whatever unpleasant things, if they say something or if they hear something not nice, it's not something like we imagine, like bad words or like shouting and screaming. It's just something disagreeable, a little bit, like something not polite. It's good enough to be bad for them.
Not in accordance to their views, let's say.
Or a little bit not extremely respectful for them. It's already akusala vipaka, sota vijnana. So it could happen also in the planes. Is that okay, Diego?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego.
Yes. Okay. So now we have already seen that it can only happen eye, ear, and receiving consciousness and investigating consciousness as the Pawati time, no? And of course, for Pawati time, for Deva and for human, it's also the same rootless resultant, but together with also smell, taste, and touch.
Yes, they're very similar to us. We cannot see them. They have not the physical frequency of our senses, but they are still around, and they can perceive the sense impingement.
Yes, so that is one point that I wanted to clarify. And there is one more point. It's something that we haven't told you yet. So for this, we have to look a little bit back into the akusala chittas. Now, if you remember, all kinds of unwholesome mind are based on these 3 kinds of roots: lobha, dosa, and moha. Yes. So greed-rooted. When we studied chittas in chapter 1, then we saw that there are 8 chittas that are rooted in greed, and then 2 rooted in dosa and anger, aversion, and 2 rooted in delusion, no, moha, no. So now, if you also remember, then although we said that it is rooted in lobha, in greed, it always has some kind of moha as well, because moha is a universal, no? Yes. So they overlap each other. So lobha plus moha.
Desire and ignorance is always together. Anger and ignorance is always together. Ignorance is a universal of akusala mental states.
Yes.
Unwholesome.
Yeah. So just Bhante said already. So for dosa and moha, they also overlap. But in one same moment, in one same citta, lobha and dosa, it cannot overlap each other. So they cannot arise in the same citta. So either it is lobha with moha, or either it is dosa with moha. It cannot be lobha with dosa, no? So there are 8 types with lobha and moha, 2 types with dosa with moha, and there are another 2 types which is only moha. Now, I think since it has been a long time ago that we have studied this, so maybe you don't remember very well, so we will take a little bit look, because what I'm going to tell you is have to do with these chittas. Okay, so let's go. Now, the 12 types of akusala citta, just as a quick revision, then there are 8 types, then 4 of them are associated with pleasant feelings, 4 of them associated with neutral feeling, meaning when we want something, sometimes we have a very intense, pleasant feeling, like I really want this, and having grief for something, no? But sometimes it is just, okay. I want something, but it's not like so much of a happiness, it's just quite neutrally. The famous example of our friends, he said, like, if you go to a barbecue, then let's say the seta mushroom, grilled seta mushroom in the barbecue with balsamic vinegar or something is the thing. Wow, if we want it, it's kind of like with lobha, with pleasant feelings. Then the smashed potato aside, yes, okay, I can have some of them, but it's not like that kind of
like more equanimous.
Yes,
we can take it, but more equanimously.
And do you want some? Okay, I can have some. So like that kind of difference. Now, so it is divided into 4 with pleasant feeling, 4 with neutral feeling, and then further it is divided into whether it is with wrong view or without wrong view. So with wrong view, meaning that without the understanding of karma, without understanding of cause and effect, so not knowing that whatever we do will give result to us. Then it is further divided into prompted and unprompted, whether it is instigated by somebody else or it's just totally self-motivated.
In spontaneous activity of the mind, or someone else thought, maybe you should do good or bad, whatever.
Yes. Okay, so that's the 8 that is rooted in greed. Then we have 2 that is rooted in dosa.
Anger.
Yes.
Yes. Question? Question?
Okay. So then the 2 that is rooted in dosa is always associated with unpleasant feeling, because when we are having aversion and something we don't like, it always feels uneasy. It always feels bad.
There is not a moment when we are pleasantly angry. There is it doesn't exist. Generally, the domanassa ingredient, the mental suffering is accompanied definitely with anger. Even we feel empowered or self-righteous, it is still very unpleasant for the body and very unpleasant for the mind.
Yes, and of course associated with dosa all the time. And the only difference is whether it is prompted or unprompted. That's the only difference of the 2. So I remember we were amazed when we first know about this, like all kinds of this anger, boredom, fear, and
sadness,
whatever bad things,
depression.
Aversion, feelings that we can ever feel is only from these 2 types of chittas. Only 2, nothing else. Yeah, but how powerful, no?
Only so I want or I don't want.
Yeah. Okay, so now the last group is Moha group, which has 2 chittas. Then both of them are associated with neutral feeling. Since Moha is the kind of not knowing now, so not knowing, it's more like a neutral rather than pleasant or unpleasant. It's just more neutral. So they are both associated with neutral feeling. And the first one is associated with doubt. So meaning like we don't know what is good, what is bad,
we don't have enough information about the situation, so the mind gets into a place of what do I do? This one, or just is a loose in itself. It's not clear and decisive.
Yes, and more precisely, it's more doubt about the path, about whether oneself whether the purification of the mind is possible or not. or whether the teachings, whether it really leads to liberation or not, or this kind of ideas.
This is the most expensive, if we could say, kind of doubt. To doubt about our own ability and possibility to be free from suffering and do good for oneself and others. That is the most expensive kind of doubt, because it will block us from doing, and it will generally, that doubt eventually tends to go towards insecurity, fear, well, all kinds of lack of self-confidence. So very, very, very dangerous. The best way to combat this is to put the practice into our real lives, into practice, and start focusing on sila, on morality, and that can give us the strength that at least we are not harming no one, and we can be proving that the practice day by day continue to give benefits. It is very important, my dear family, to focus on the benefits that we are getting from the practice. That will be our fuel to continue doing it and developing sadha, faith, confidence in ourselves and in the laws of nature and in the Dhamma. Very, very important to rejoice every day on the little advances we have in inner development.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the last akusala chitta is moha group with neutral feeling and with restlessness.
Forgot one thing, even our effort just to focus, at least we are trying. That will continue giving more and more confidence, moving us away from the corrosive state of doubt, inner looseness. Sorry.
Okay, so the last one is with restlessness. Now, if you remember, restlessness, udacha, is actually a universal akusala cetasika. So that means that all these 12 of them are associated with restlessness. But why is it that it is specific here? It is because in this chitta, there is only, basically, more only about restlessness.
Predominant. Restlessness is predominant.
But without the other akusala cetasikas. So there is no wrong view there. There is no lobha. There is no dosa, and no other kinds of ingredients. And it's just purely restless.
It's kind of anxiety in itself. The mind, when we feel anxious, as long as there is not aversion towards the situation we are facing or anxiety itself, actually, when we may ask, when am I experiencing ignorance in one of its most pure states, it's in anxiety. The mind is just booming. We don't even know. I suppose we have felt sometimes in our life some kind of stress or anxiety. And if people ask us, what do you worry about? What is it? I don't know. I just feel this. Well, that it will be, this will, I don't know. And this sensation will be mostly based in moha. So very good thing to do at that time is get the Dhammapada, start opening the mind towards wisdom, understanding that everything is changing, even that physical sensation and mental state will change eventually. So we can start bringing the mind back to places where it can hold specifically wholesome qualities of the mind and starts grounding itself in the present moment. Moha is very easy for ignorance to start imagining things. The mind is loose, so it generally tends to go to the past to remember unpleasant things, or imagining most of the time negative things about the future. So dosa and ignorance together, wow, very, very unpleasant cocktail. Mm.
Yes, so
these are the 12 kind of akusala mental states or options of mind. We can put it in that way. These are the options that in the negative side, our mind has. Some based in desire and attachment, others in anger, and the other ones are loose in the mind itself, moha, ignorance.
Yes, so it is very nice that now that we are reviewing all the akusala chittas, and Bhante is giving us very practical information about practice, and so that we can remember and apply it to our lives. And so let's go back to the point that what I wanted to tell you is that this last akusala chitta, which is the moha group with only with restlessness is actually the weakest among these 12 akusala chitta, this one is the weakest one because it's only associated with restlessness. So restlessness, it can be of a lot of degree, like it can be very strong, like Bhante said, like you feel this agitation, or it can be just a tiny little bit of a movement, like it's just a little tiny movement of restlessness also is possible. No? So in this case, among these 12 akusala chitta, this one that is with only restlessness without other akusala chittasika is the weakest one, and therefore it is the only one that is not capable of producing a patisandhi. This is important. This is the point that I wanted to tell you. So among all 12 akusala chitta, besides this one, all 11 is capable to generate a new life.
Or be the first mental state as we arrive into the new existence. And
for this last one, it cannot produce a patisandhi, meaning that its result can never be a patisandhi chitta. All the other 11, it can have patisandhi as its result. And but all of them can produce result during lifetime, all 12 of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was also a point that is important. That this is very, very brief, nice revision of chapter 1 in the akusala side. Just one slide, very nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, so everybody now, okay? Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Good. Okay. So we continue. Okay, so now we finished with the points about akusala that we needed to tell you. Then we will now go to kusala. So last week we have seen that. We have seen in the previous last 2 weeks, we have seen all the 10 bases of unwholesome actions, and then as well as the 10 bases of the wholesome actions we have seen already. And then we have seen that kusala is basically the direct opposite of akusala. Yes. So from last week's content, we were saying that what we mean by kusala is, in short, we can say the not doing of the 10 unwholesome actions, plus some positive side about it, no? Or not misbehave in the mind, do not misbehave physically, in the voice and in the physical actions. Yeah, and in more details, they can be separated into 10 kinds, which are the 10 bases of meritorious action, which we are going to expand from here today. Okay, so the 10 types are just as a list we will read out for refreshing the memory. First one is dana, giving or generosity. Second one, sila, morality or observing the precepts, or sometimes we can use more positive words like virtues, virtuous behavior. Yeah. And the third one, bhavana, mental cultivation. Also, we can say meditation. Mental stability, yeah. Mental cultivation, bhavana, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then apachayana is reverence to the elders. And here it says the holy person, but actually person who have good morality and wise person. No? Yeah, we should change. I think to change that word. Yeah. So Vaya Vacha is service in wholesome deeds, doing some kinds of service for the parents, for elders, or for the community, or for the monastery, etc. Or our family. Yeah. So Patidana is sharing merits. When we do something good, then we share merits with others. In terms of service, as if you are father or mother, rejoice in it because you have many opportunities and you are doing constantly. If the mind is looking at it, we can get a lot of benefit from our good actions. If we do it with accompanied with wisdom, if we are serving our family like this, actually we do a lot of good just to survive. We do a lot of good, so we can bring the focus and look at it and rejoice in it and plant seeds of goodness with wisdom. We know we are planting good for ourselves and others, and then the fruits, the law of kamma, is real. Mm-hmm. So number 7, patanumodana, which is rejoicing in others' merit. So when we see somebody else doing something good, then we are happy about their goodness, then we generate wholesome mind in our own mind, and this is also a wholesome action. Then you say sharing merits? No. Already. Okay. Yeah. Then number 8, Dhamma savana is listening to the Dhamma, and listening to something that is helpful for the Dhamma, that is helpful for our own development of our mental cultivation. Then Dhamma Desana, sharing the Dhamma, Ditthiju Kamma, and straightening one's right view. So these are the 10 types of the basis for meritorious actions that we have seen last week. And actually, these 10 can be divided or categorized into 3, which is the Dana group, the Sila group, and the Bhavana group. So the first one in Dana group, its participants are Dana, giving or generosity, and then number 6
is the good actions.
Pratidana,
The good actions where we are offering something to someone else.
sharing merit, and the rejoicing in other merits. So now here there's a little point important here, because sharing merit is giving. Yes, like generosity dana is giving, transferring merit or sharing merit is giving, but rejoicing in others' merit is actually not giving. We are receiving, no? But giving, dana get rid of covetousness, jealousy and stinginess, no? So that is isa and macharia, jealousy and stinginess. So by giving, we get rid of 3 things: covetousness, which is greed,
or obsessive desire.
Greed, and then we get rid of isa, jealousy, and then we get rid of macharia, stinginess. So by sharing merits and rejoicing in other merits, they also get rid of isa and macharia.
From
jealousy and stinginess.
Jealousy and stinginess. Yeah.
Because if we are rejoicing in others' merits, that means we are not being jealous of their good action, no? Or of their good thing, which will give them good result. Instead, we are happy about their good action. So this get rid of jealousy, and it get rid of stinginess as well. So therefore, they are also included in the dana group because they get rid of the same mental negativities.
Let's say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we'll go to the next group, Sila group. So Sila group, obviously Sila, morality.
The practice of the 5 precepts, or the 8 precepts, or the 10, or the 227. That would be the different modalities that any of us would choose. Basic is the 5 precepts to keep every day.
Yes, and also
respect for oneself and others.
Yeah, and also remember that if somebody, they don't know about the precepts, but if there is some kind of situation where they can kill, whether they can lie, whether they can do something, take something that is not given, but they abstain from doing so, even they did not know the precept, they didn't take the precepts, that is also sila. No?
They are practicing sila unknowingly, or just because of social conventions that many people practice. But it is definitely much more beneficial if we know what we are doing and the kinds of seeds we are planting with wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but whatever it may be, whether they know it or not, it is called sila.
Morality,
that kind
morality
of good
group.
Actions is called sila. No?
So
then
reverence. There is a sila, reverence to elders and noble persons. It's better to say that way. And service. In wholesome deeds, helping others in other way. Even our pets, the life of is going on and their health because of our good actions. We can see them.
Yes. So this paying respect and service can be included in sila, because sila is not just only morality, it's also virtuous behavior. No? And so paying respect and doing service is also a virtuous behavior. And also it is a kind of practice, because sila is a training. Sila is not a rule, it's not something that you should not do this, or you should not do this like this. No?
You shall not do this, or shall not. It's not a sin if you break the training. Mm-hmm. It's a training. We are trying to move away from the long-held negative attitudes of the mind. So we try again and again and again, as clear as possible. And there is the only punishment that there is about is the fruits that will come out of our bad actions. There is nature. Nature takes care. And also at the same time, there is no one who can absolve those actions that are planted. Nature is just like this. We can just do a lot of good so we can counteract the weight of our negative actions and take care of our minds in the present and future moments, not to help avoiding for the mind to incur again into an unwholesome activity.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so it is possible to consider this service and also paying respect into the Sila group because they are also practice. They are something that we need to practice, we need to do. Okay, so they are in the Sila group.
Yep.
Now, the remaining white ones, I mistakenly pressed another button and number 10 became red. But anyway, consider it
white.
It will become red, but consider it white now. Now I can't go back in the in this mode. It's not
just go
working.
on.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
So it's not working. But anyway, so consider it white at the moment. So the bhavana cultivation is the white ones, which are bhavana, mental cultivation,
meditation, any kind of contemplation, walking, sitting, eating, talking. That awareness and some degree of concentration is present. We already doing.
Then listening the Dhamma and sharing the Dhamma and straightening one's right view. These 4 is included in the Bhavana group, the cultivation group.
Mental cultivation group.
So these 10 can also be divided into Dana, Sila, and Bhavana. Now, why did this number 10 become red? Actually, it is because it is also said that besides belonging mostly to the Bhavana group, it is possible to say that right view belong to the 3. Because without right view, we don't give, we are not generous, and we won't do this good this. And without right view, we won't practice Sila. So therefore, right view is important. Therefore, it is also said that it belongs to Bhavana group, but as well as Dana and Sila.
Yes. When we say that wisdom is the crown of the human mind, this is one of the places where we can see it as a fact. Based on our wisdom, generally, our good actions are led. And if our good actions are in the company of wisdom, is the best thing we can do. My dear family, how do you see how beautiful the Buddha explained how skillful he was in recognizing all the ingredients into the very details and the things they help counteract in terms of negativity. So I feel so beautiful about the skillfulness of pedagogic or teaching skills of the Buddha into putting things so clear. Now we know, even when we are doing good, which kind of pot are we filling up? Which kind of pot of parami?
Yeah, whether we are doing Dana, whether we are doing Sila, or whether we are doing Bhavana. Which category?
Yes. And very often you will see in the scriptures, the Buddha was teaching the first thing, especially for people who were new to the teaching, he will generally not speak about meditation at the beginning. The first thing he will do will be Dana, Sila, and Bhavana, just in this order. So it was the first invitation for the people is wait, understand and check your beautiful potentiality, your noble potentiality, start practicing, and from it, inside of it, there is already the mental cultivation, the respect for yourself and others, and the releasing of attachment, which is the cause of suffering. So the second noble truth, isn't it? The desire and attachment. So from the beginning, but he was teaching the whole course of what we need to do, but with this very gentle introduction to the teaching. So why do I press this point? In case some of your friends or family is interested in knowing, see some qualities in you and is wishing to know, I think this is one of the most certain and sure ways to share in a very gentle and very organized way to introduce to the practice of wholesomeness. First, generosity, release a little bit, put the mind into some water so it starts softening. Then comes the good behavior, respect for the others, and then later on we pass on to the mental cultivation. As we know in the world, generally, Sila and Dana is skipped in the Buddha's teaching. In many of the contemporary centers or ways of teaching, generally what they promote is the fruit. They don't want to plant the tree. They just want to give the fruit of meditation and the joy of meditation, but they're not explaining that they need to also balance with their morality. So if a person continue cheating on his wife or husband or lying or even killing something, how can his mind, even if he practices meditation, it will never be possible because there is guilt inside, there is remorse inside the mind. He can practice and meditate 8 hours a day if that person wishes. So my dear family, it's very important that we make justice to the whole teaching and start with the basics. Not basics, I mean with the foundation. It's not because it is basic. It is the real foundation of the mental cultivation. So as we see, there are many meditation centers, but they go directly to the meditation, skipping all these very important things. So that's why we have been part of it, and we have been victims somehow to this misinformation. And we have seen dozens and dozens of meditators who report, teacher, I've been meditating for 10, 15 years, 20 years, and to be honest, I don't see much change in the mind. Well, my dear family, if we build a house without foundation, the house, the more we build, the more it falls. The more we build, the more it falls. We need really to be very, very conscious about it. And this very information of today is very precious for ourselves, and if we wish to benefit someone else for their inner cultivation. Dana, Sila, and Bhavana, they must go together, and they do go in some degree of order. So,
yes. So now Bhante has already explained that most of what we are going to see today. So maybe I just run through the slide, and also there are just some more details of what Bhante has already said. I will just add to it, because that is actually what we are going to see.
It's never
today.
too much. This is very, very important, my dear family. Very, very important. Please, let's introduce the whole of the practice so our inner construction is well established, founded.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as Bhante already mentioned, so wholesome actions are actually, we have seen right now that it is divided into these three groups, three categories: dana, sila, bhavana, as we have just seen right now. So many times we have heard already that the Buddha's teaching is about developing sila, samadhi, and panya, or dana, sila, bhavana. No? So it's actually, as Bhante said, is the whole teaching, is a summary of the whole teaching. It is what the Buddha taught. And every time when you find whatever good actions, it goes into these three categories. And this is how we are going to purify the mind and become liberated, actually. And so today we are going to look into a little bit more details and expanding from here. So
I want to make a comment. Sorry, my dear family. Today I didn't have the opportunity to see the projection. Generally, I take a look, but this weekend was quite busy. So I put more information that is coming. Sorry. But yeah, anyway, we revise.
Okay. We revise. Yes. So dana is compared as the soil. So that's why Bhante was saying that it is important, because it is the most foundation. It is the basis for our practice. So dana is compared into the soil, generosity. Then sila is compared as the root. So with dana, with generosity, then it helps the roots to be healthy. So that when the roots are healthy, then the tree can become strong. So with strong basis, morality, then bhavana is further divided into two groups. Then the trunk is compared as samadhi, which is mental stability. And then later on, the fruits are actually panya. So dana, sila, samadhi, and panya. Mm-hmm. This is the whole teaching of the Buddha in short, in summary, in a
very beautiful image. I mean, it's just
So so now, why is it important to know about this, and how does it work? So now let's take a look. Why is this important, and why is it the whole teaching? So we have seen sila, samadhi, and panya, the roots, the trunk, and the fruits. It's actually the direct opposite and the method to counteract with defilements itself. Now, how does it work? Let's take a look. Previously, we have already seen this, but it is important, so it's worth taking another look. Now, defilements are divided into three levels. There are three levels of defilements. The first one, based on this lobha, dosa, and moha, no? These three types of kilesas. Kilesas are divided into 10 further. In later chapter 7, we're going to look at it. But basically, there's only these three groups, no? So they are divided into three levels. The first level is called viti kamma. Viti kamma means act out. So they are the physical unwholesome action or verbal unwholesome action that we actually did it.
Already out. It's out in the world. The bad word or the bad action, it's already performed.
Yes. Now the second level is called pariyutana, which are mental defilements that only arise in the mind. So sometimes we think about some bad things, but we don't do it.
We don't say it or we don't do it. We just thought about it.
Arises in the mind
the seed is planted in the mental continuum. It didn't happen in actuality. No one saw it. No one was victim of our bad action.
So it's a little bit better than we actually do it, but I mean it is less worse.
Yeah, less harmful, less harmful.
And it is unavoidable at the moment because the mind is not stable yet. So sometimes it can happen. So
we do think negative things.
Another level of defilement. And the third level of defilement is called anusaya, which means latent. So this latent, the meaning of this latent is the possibility of defilement to arise. That means that it has not even arisen in the mind. Of course, needless to say that we haven't done it, but since we have not purified the mind, have not eradicated all kinds of defilements, so there are still possibilities that when conditions happens, then defilements can still arise.
The mind will get angry, or we will feel lust or anything. If the object that pertains to that negative mental state, for example, in the case of lust, whenever we see a very attractive female or male figure according to our preferences, then the negativity, the possibility to feel lust or angry about something, it's already there. We haven't eradicated the deepest potentiality for our mind to become polluted. This is the one that we wish to arrive eventually and take from the root. Whenever we say that the enlightened person will take from the root, it is this one. That's why he cannot get an enlightened being, cannot perform unwholesomeness, because he already took the fuel of it out. The wood for it cannot be burnt anymore. There is no wood.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe Bhante can explain even more when we get to that slide. Now it's coming. So now the three levels of defilements we have seen: viti kamma, the one that is act out; pariyutana, the one that arises in the mind; and then
I'm just rejoicing that the Buddha was a very good teacher. I'm like Stevie wondering already, like, wow, this kind of elegance and this man, I'm just rejoicing. Go on.
And the latent level, anusaya, which are the possibility of defilements to arise. So these three levels of defilements are actually directly counteracted by sila, samadhi, and panya. How is that so? We can see that with sila, which is good actions, with good actions, sila protect us from the unwholesome actions. If we keep sila, we don't kill, we don't take what is not given, we don't cheat on our
partner or abuse of minors or people with disability.
Yeah, or we use our words wisely and not using to abuse others or to divide other people, and then we don't intoxicate ourselves, but instead we cultivate the mind. So sila protect viti kamma. It protect us from doing unwholesome actions.
The rawest, more evident way that a human being can do wrong. Sila, just morality and ethics, will prevent it. So the first level is covered by sila. It's the first line of attack against unwholesomeness. The first line of attack is just to keep the 5 precepts.
The more gross manifestation of unwholesomeness.
It will take care of our words and our actions naturally. Just by following this training, that can be improved, let's say, at least improved.
Yeah. Now with sila, then as Bhante said, if sila is good, then the mind can become stable, because we know that we are not doing any harm to anybody. We are doing good. We're not killing. We're not harming. We're not taking something that is not given. So with that, the mind is calm.
There is no guilt.
There's nothing because we didn't do anything bad. So the mind naturally becomes calm. Plus, when it is already calm, then it is possible to further develop this stability.
The direct enemies to mental stability is remorse, guilt, doubt. So if we don't do these things, remorse and guilt arises when we perform bad actions or when we had the opportunity to do good and we didn't. So if we, through our mental cultivation or sila, are doing good and avoiding doing bad, naturally the mind will be far from guilt, far from remorse, and that will start attacking the main enemies for mental stability. Mental stability gets generated. Now the unavoidable sense of well-being and wholeness and the beautiful qualities of the minds naturally will start arising, because what destroys them is absent, being it restlessness, remorse, and doubt.
Now, as Bhante said, if sila is well kept, that the mind is naturally calm. So with this calmness, then we can further develop the mind, further develop this stability. How? By getting information, like what we are doing now, by listening to the Dhamma, getting information, and contemplating them, and as well as by meditating.
Very important, my dear family, to give ourselves time every day to sit in silence and just listen. Be aware with the physical sensations, check the mental state, and keep doing it as much as possible during any kind of activity. While driving, while taking the bus, there is not much to do. And even if there is much to do, we do it consciously and with awareness, and the learning process must never stop. Only by practicing something constantly will there be development.
Okay, so when mental stability is very well cultivated and in its highest manifestation, which is jhana, of course, like
that would be the
stable,
best.
That would be the best.
That would be the top.
In those moments, then the mind, there is no unwholesomeness in the mind.
Impossible.
In those moments, no, the mind is very stable. So this samadhi or mental stability, which is the second level, counteracts with pariyutthana, the arising, the defilements that is arising only in the mind. So, of course, in jhana, needless to say, it is really only wholesomeness. So the 5 hindrances, which is sense desire, ill will, sloth and torpor,
restlessness and
remorse and doubt. So this 5 is not arising, surely not arising in those moments, and so that's how the mind is being protected from the mental defilements arising from the mind. But of course, even not jhana, but during the time when we are being mindful, and we are trying to do our best, and we are getting information, contemplating, and we're meditating, in those times also there is no mental defilements arising in the mind. So that is how samadhi protects us from mental defilements that is arising.
Defilements at the mental level. So now we have covered our physical actions, verbal and physical, and now concentration and meditation is not a fashion. It's not something that is just good for me to relax. It is actually counteracting and the negativity of the mind and making it more stable for the next step. It's just the preparation, so the mind can be clear and swim in itself and go to the depths of it, and hopefully recognize the places where the negativity is burning. We want to shut down the fountain of akusala. This is what we are set up to do. And that fountain, that venero, I don't know how to say it, that place where the negativity water flows, the source, it is somewhere inside the mind. So we only a very stable mind can go, pierce onto it, take it away, and eventually take it out for the benefit of all of us.
Yes, but only with stability of the mind or concentration. It is not guaranteed that that defilements will never arise again. So this is why wisdom is so important, because it is only with wisdom that defilement can be totally uprooted. So Panya, wisdom, is the direct method or direct medicine that counteracts even with the latent defilements, because it's totally uprooted. So it has no chance for it to arise again.
No more. It's out. Mm-hmm. The gunpowder is out. Even if life comes and brings us fire from the outside, there is no gunpowder in. So even very negative, unpleasant, sickness, old age, political unrest, economic instability, whatever, the sparks of life, even they are very negative. If there is no gunpowder inside, nothing will explode. So how much gunpowder do we have? How much gunpowder are we carrying? How prone are we to react? This is what we need to start taking care of. We don't want to explode inside. We want to suffer. We need to start getting rid as much as possible of the flammable, inflammable. I don't know how to say it. Inflammable.
Explosive.
The explosive content that we do carry still.
Yes. So now we have seen the three levels, Sila Samadhi, how it counteract the three levels of defilements.
Wow,
so therefore, it is said that this is the whole teaching, the whole path, because when we are established in Sila, then we get established in the mental stability and Samadhi. Then with Samadhi, then Panya will be possible to grow. So with Panya, we totally eradicate all kinds of defilements, which means Nibbana, which means the total enlightenment. It is all about that, about the eradicating of all kinds of defilements. So you see, it is not really just Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, and Dana also, no? Dana, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya are actual practical things that we can really do, as we have seen in this 10th list. And so they are not only theories. Yes. So as you see, it is things that we can do day by day. So imagine by doing this list of 10 things, we are walking towards the final liberation. So it's not like, wow, it is so far. Okay, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, it sounds very good. How to do? Here it is so practical.
It is so simple, but a deep invitation, my dear family. Let's never underestimate it. The whole of the path is there. It is very simple. Yes, very, very simple. But it is very, very, very deep. Simple doesn't mean
easy.
Doesn't mean often easy. They're not synonymous. And I'm not saying that it is difficult. It is very simple. We just need to take care of our actions as much as possible, stabilize the mind, and let nature do its job. But the point is, the whole of the path is here, and we can never underestimate goodness. That's why teachers give so much emphasis on it. Do good, avoid doing bad, do good, and that in itself will beautify our minds in the present, in the near future, and in the end, it will be beneficial for ourselves, for others. It will make us happy. So in the fruits are really, really abundant, and the implications of this detachment and inner stability, it is really deep, my dear family. It is. I mean, now I'm even touched. Today's class it's a gift, really. I mean, as I perceive it like this, it is really a gift. The clarity and the way is. I'm very glad we are all giving ourselves time to explore nature through such a lens. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shannon.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So we're going to explore a little bit more, and it will even sharpen a little bit more of how we can even make it better.
Yeah, let's take a 1 minute of silence, and then we go with a question from Paula. Contemplate, and I will say from my side, rejoice. I just feel joy. Let's keep clear the blessings that we all have to be able to touch nature and reality, our very life, our very mental reality, with such clarity and guidance. Cause and effect. Nothing to believe, everything to be proven. May all our families and all beings have access to, in any way, to a clarity of mind, and may we all take the best decisions in life. Nature, we can rest in its assurance. Nature does not invent things, just does what it can with what there is. May all of us and our families be well physically and mentally. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Paula, you have a comment or question? Go ahead. Welcome.
Hi, Bhante. Thank you. So I wanted to ask about the guilt one because, and specifically when guilt comes about, that it can also sometimes be because of delusion or ignorance. Is that something that's possible and not just because sila is not intact?
Yes, it is right. It is restlessness and remorse, but I will add a very important ingredient that makes our guilt much sharper, and that is ego. We are very worried when we practice, when we did bad in the past, we are very worried about our image. Often, I will confess from my side, I think the pain I experience whenever there is guilt or remorse, it is more the things I wish to change in the perception of other people's towards me, or my own perception. I cannot accept
How could I
have done that. And actually, to be very honest, that ego, that protection of my own image and the obsession I have with myself is way much more emotionally and energetically expensive than the real honest remorse I have about doing bad. So I wish to change the past. I wish to convince the people. And very often we offer an apology, not sincerely or humbly to really ask the people to forgive our bad action, but because we wish to refurbish, to remake up our image towards society, because the mind unfortunately worries a lot obsessively of what other people think about us and the image we have about ourselves. So beyond, I will say that it is much more harmful, this tendency to being able to put ourselves and to clean ourselves, but the mind cannot deny it. We know we did wrong. We know we said wrong, and we know we misacted. So I would say that we must bring this contemplation and take first care of our ego, especially the obsession we have with our own story. And to point something out, my dear family, I know it's a little bit crude, but believe me, other people only worries about themselves. Everybody just worry about themselves. We don't really matter about other people. You see clearly inside our mind, if you really worry about how other people is developing, our mind is obsessed just with me, I, me, mine. We are not important to others in some sense, and it is sad to say it, but it is a fact. Every ego is obsessed and occupied with itself. That is the consumption of the mind. That's why ego and mana takes away all the goodness in the world. Of course, nobody is saying no one else. Everybody, all of us are just worried with my story and what other people think about my story. So yes, Paula, we do the wrong, we can recognize it, there is restlessness and remorse, and it is very painful and expensive, but we must include this ingredient. And I'm saying it I put myself in the front of the line. I'm not pointing out to yourself. I'm just describing, and I will say it's kind of certainly our experience. Yes, ego is the most expensive, and we have been exploring and seeing so many cases.
Yes, I think what Bhante is a very good point. But Paula was just also mentioning about the sila, whether sila is intact or not. That is also a very important point.
Very.
Because if our sila is good, then we have less chance to be to feel regret or feel remorse about things that we did wrong or not haven't done well, no. But just previously, just right now, Bante has also mentioned that remorse can actually only happen because of two occasions. One is about things that we have not done well, that we did and it was not well done, and another one is that when we have chance to do good and we didn't do it. So
only two reasons.
Yeah. So sometimes we also regret or get remorse because we had the chance to be good, but we didn't.
I could have given it, then the chance is gone.
Yeah. So this is the only two cases that remorse can ever arise. So yes, as Paula said, that with sila it can protect and it can be better, but it doesn't mean that that we have to. How can I say? I mean, sila is a protection. And if we keep sila in the future, if we give better sila now, then in the future we will have less chance to be remorseful. And if we sometimes break the training, it's okay, it's a training, but we can keep trying. So it's definitely helpful.
Another thing to put together these two topics, I spoke about mana, ego, and Charana spoke about sila. We can point our attention to the fact that if we practice ethics and morality, that in itself is an act of humility. Why? Because we are caring about the well-being of others. I don't want to harm somebody. I don't want to take the possessions of somebody else. I don't want to cheat on my partner in case that you have a couple or the couple of someone else. And I don't want to pollute others with my speech. If I speak lies to myself, well, nothing much happens. I'm just rolling in negativity. But the problem is including the other. As long as we include somebody else, the mind, at least one part of it, is not obsessed with himself or herself. Ego cannot have the same strength. So actually, to be ethical, to be moral, it's an act of generosity towards the others. So it's an act of goodness towards others and an act of humility. What meaning humility? The absence or the decrementation, I don't know how to say, the diminishment of the obsessive attachment I have towards myself. So they both go together, and as we are seeing right now, Dana, Sila, Bhavana, they are attacking negativity from different flanks, weakening. And some of the things, for example, Sila, it's very tangible. I just don't say lies. I just don't say bad words. I just don't do it. It is much more easy to control than the mind that is like a wild horse. So we start from the most tangible in body, in action and speech, and then we get closer and closer and closer to the very mental source where all these bad words originated in the first place. That's where we want to go.
Yeah, I see that.
Question
Yeah,
from
I see Alex, but just hold on 1 second. I just wanted
just a little while longer. Yes.
Just to add a little bit.
Everything will be all right.
A little bit. Because sila, sometimes we say that we don't do this, we don't do this, no? But we can also see it in another positive and more beautiful way, because sila can also be a gift, like Bante said. So instead of said, I will not harm or take life of the others, why don't we say, we will protect the life of the others.
I will offer
respect, and I will offer the gift of protection and
security. I will offer security. It's beautiful.
For all beings.
Amen.
So whenever beings are with us, then they will feel safe. That they know that from us there will be no harm. So this is a gift from us to all beings. Then by not taking other things, we are also offering securities that people know that with us their properties are going to be safe. It's not going to be taken, etc. No, so we can also take it as in the sense of giving. And protecting and doing something for the others.
Like in chess, we approach the king from everywhere. From everywhere we start positioning our pieces. Yes, from here. Whenever the pieces that are protecting the negativity move a little bit, we have a way to come in. We are ready.
Yes, so Alex and Cass.
Alex and Cass, my dear ones, please go ahead. Welcome.
Karana, in regards of something that I just been thinking lately about, how does the mind moves when we are entertaining ourselves with, like, let's say, a lecture, a movie, a video game, and we develop like anger or certain emotions about those fictionable scenarios, right? It's not happening in involving others, so we're not directing the those thoughts or feelings against a real person, but we move our mind in a certain way that it's probably not wholesome, right? So my question is that only affecting the kind of a purifying aspect of the mind, or does actually generate kamma in a wrong way for us?
Yes, Alex, there is fake content or fantastic content outside, but for the mind, everything is real. If dosa arises, it is real dosa and is doing its full course. It doesn't matter the object. And to be honest, every single thing is happening only in the mind. The fact that we're looking at it, the information we received it on a screen, for example, I give you a bad news directly. Or you listen the same bad news from the same person, but on video. The mind received the content and the mind had a reaction towards. The mind doesn't know how to separate, oh, this was a video game, this was a thing. Dosa is forever dosa, and that's what it knows how to do, and plant the seeds that needs to come in. And worse than that, in case that, for example, a video game or we don't take care of our intellectual diet, and we bring a bad content movie, a bad content book or something, we know it's fictitious. But if the emotion is happening for real, we are really getting angry, it's not just the harm happening there. The mind already vibrated on that frequency, and it will stay after we turn off the TV. The mind will continue to be thinking about it, because as we have proven many times, the mind is like a bell. You hit it with content, but the content, the hammer is not there anymore. It's gone forever. But listen, the bell. That's why all our thoughts, one on top of the other, whatever we saw today, whatever you saw today or yesterday, is still ringing in the mind. That's why we're remembering, because the mind listens. What? There's this little sound, this little memory. So it will. The point I want to make is that it is real, Alex. The mind doesn't know, and this is scientifically proven. They have put people in MRIs inside. They have made them experience things, and they have made them imagine the very same thing that they experienced, and the same areas of the brain were lighting up. So it is a fact that if the mind imagines something or is experiencing something, the mental experience, since everything is happening just inside as concept, is definitely happening. And in terms of Dhamma, it will be definitely planting seeds and will stay. That's why, my dear family, the importance, the sheer deep importance of taking the best care of our mental diet, feeding the mind, because that thing is going to be resonating for months or years. It is unbelievable. At one time in 2008, I tried to make an experiment, abstaining myself from certain kind of content, and then I was having a shot and contemplated how the mind vibrated and for how long. My dear family, it was more than 2 weeks without trying consciously not to make memories of the thing, that the mind continued resonating with the content that I opened that day. It is breathtaking. If you have the opportunity, make an experiment and you will see how important each rock that we throw in the lake of the mind make a lot of ripples. And the ripples touching the edges of the pool and then come back and return, making more and more and more ripples. And this and physics is totally in line. It is unbelievable. Yes.
I also wanted to add something. Most of the time, this is talking about personal experience. When I want to, let's say, watch something or do some entertainment or something, most of the time the mind is not mindful at the time. So at those moments, but this is, this is like a
me
real
too, all of us.
So if we let the mind let it loose and be not mindful during that time, then defilements are more easy to attack.
Yeah.
And also then with the prolonged time without mindfulness, then whatever loba, whatever dosa happens, and then it is easier to hit us. And then also then with those accumulated, then it is getting more and more difficult. So I think that is why also in the taking the 8 precepts, sometimes when we want to have a day that is more dedicated to the practice, then we take the 8 precepts in those days, and one of the 8 precepts are abstaining from those kinds of entertainment. I think it has some benefits in this way. But of course, in a normal lay life, then sometimes it is inevitable, and it is not so bad also to see a documentary or do something. It's okay, but try to do it mindfully. Even watching the documentary,
we check the mind.
Breathing. We know we are breathing. We know we are sitting. So in this case, at least the mind is with us. So we are less.
We are with the mind.
Yes. No. So it is less easy for the mind to be kicked by the defilements.
Right.
No, less easy. So we can do it, but try to do it mindfully.
Anyway,
and then we will be more and more skillful.
Life will continue to give all kinds of content. What does the mind do with it? That's a responsibility. Is it that better? A little bit clearer, Don Alex?
Yes, it's totally clear now. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, my dear. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. What about the forgiveness? The idea to forgive you and forgive myself. I don't see that word in the ideas. Where did you put it? Forgive others because what they have done, and forgive myself for something that I have done. And also, I would like to know the difference that you have between ethics and morality. Sometimes I don't have it clear enough from your point of view.
Yeah, let's start with this one. Ethics and morality, we use it as a synonymous. Generally, why do I use both? It is because when I say morality, as you know, as being a monk, having such a form already carrying towards the contemporary qualities of our society, when somebody, we are a little bit culturally, and I would speak just for myself, sometimes there is some tiredness from authority figures to tell us to be moral. So often I use ethics because we can feel ethics. How do I feel it? Maybe I might not be wrong etymologically or even in meaning, but how I feel ethics is universal. Once you start talking about morality, it has a little bit of connotation, or maybe in the ideas, at least in my experience and the one of our culture, towards religiosity, religiousness. So sometimes I try to avoid that because, as we know, Buddhism is very little of a religion, it's much more of a science. So in case of that word, it's gonna touch or make some aversion or bring the shields out. If I'm talking about puritanity or morality or something like this, I often kind of bring both in. So whoever, the two words are there, everybody, even a people who doesn't follow any kind of philosophy or religion, can be ethical. It's just a human respect for one another. So often I'm more drawn to ethics, but I must say morality, because actually morality is not just the respect for oneself and others. Morality, as we are looking today, is the source of spirituality. So we cannot divorce it totally from inner cultivation. Morality, to be moral, to have a conscience about our actions. Ethic, even if I'm not conscious, I just do good, I don't harm others. But morality is already going into the depths of the mind, trying to purify it. So that's why virtues. I cannot say only ethics. I feel empty, but I want to approach and not develop any kind of tiredness, all tiredness that we have from being told what to do without the reasons why. This is why we get tired, my dear family. For people to tell us what to do just based on an authority without telling us why. So that is the tiredness arise from it. Let's use ethics for that, but cannot forget about morality. I actually, if you ask me, I prefer to say morality.
To say sila.
Or to say sila, I prefer it. But since I am already a kind of a figure, like brings this thing to the world, I really try to be as careful as possible not to relate with someone else, bringing this aversion to what, oh, don't tell me what to do, or puritanity or thing. So that's why I choose to do so. But our teachers, they only use morality. This is something that we are trying to adapt because of the conditions we are having towards sharing the Dhamma. Is that clear about that, Mr. Guillermo? So,
Yes,
about
yes,
forgiveness.
Look, this beautiful participant.
This little guy is, how is his name, her name?
Is haiku.
Haiku, sadhu, 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 bam. Haiku. Bien. Okay, Don Guillermo, regarding forgiveness, you remember right now we made a correlation between remorse and mana and ego. And actually, as I saw the reaction on the videos, we all resonated immediately. Yes, yes, it is more painful, ego, than the remorse I have about doing bad. I worry more about what people think about me or what do I think about myself is much more painful than the actual wrongdoing. In the case of forgiveness, I want to bring another quality and why teachers very seldom speak about it. Actually, they don't use that word. You know, one of the words that is behind and makes the real change happening, instead of forgive, and sometimes it's a little bit surprising, it's to detach. We must let go of ourselves and the bad actions of others. Why do I have remorse? Why do I have rancor? How do you say rancor? Rancor. No, rancor. How do you say rancor? Grudge. Why do you hold a grudge with somebody? Why are you angry about someone doing bad? It is the attachment we have, again, and it is in relation to our points of view and ourselves, the attachment we have towards ourselves. When do I forgive? When I let go and I say, yes, I won't continue. There are two ways to forgive. The one, because of the other, I release because of the well-being of the other. Mostly, I release because of my own well-being, because the only one that is carrying that remorse and that grudge and that anger, it is myself. The people is maybe dead already, and I'm still carrying it. So I do it for myself, and the best one of it will be based on wisdom, because I don't want to continue cultivating negativity, remorse, anger, self-righteousness. Oh, this person did that, because I'm planting new seeds of akusala, even the person is already dead. So, dear Guillermo, why do people, I have to say that maybe from some of our teachers, we have never listened the word forgiveness ever, not even once. They speak about understanding of the mind and what does our negativity or grudges of anger towards the action of others generate in yourself, and how it does not help the situation. And the invitation is generally, release, my brother, release, my son, as they call sometimes, release it, myself. Let go for your own well-being, for the well-being of your family, for the well-being of the other. Let go and then bring metta. So if we were to make an X-ray of forgiveness, I will say that ultimately, hopefully we see three ingredients in it, and it will be very novel. It will be detachment of myself and my story and what other people did to me, humility, detachment, and love. And if wisdom can be on top of it, overseeing the whole process, my dear family, actually we are making like kind of a dissection of forgiveness, humility, detachment, most of it, let go of the negative story, let go of your bad action, let go of your image, and just be responsible of the present. Bring love, compassion to yourself, compassion to us, bring love, and wisdom. That will be, I will say, the ingredients that will make the same process. I don't understand how our culture understands forgiveness, because obviously it's a very, very common and big concept. But if I were to try to make an X-ray of it, I would say that the same effect will come, the same well-being will be happening with this based on wisdom, love, and detachment. How do you feel, Don Guillermo?
I feel okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we have in the chat, Fernando and Lupita sent
Thank you.
quote. It says, Bhikkhu, whatever a bhikkhu frequently thinks and ponders upon, that will become the inclination of his mind, which is very true also. And thank you very much, Fernando and Lupita, for sending that. And also concerning about mindfulness, when whatever we do, when we are even looking at a movie or whatever, I wanted to add something that I forgot to, because it is really interesting, and I invite everybody to try doing so. So let's say, for example, watching a movie or whatever we are doing, entertainment, reading a book. So if we try to be mindful, actually, it is a great opportunity for learning, because we see how the mind, even in such fake situation, even if the person is crying in the movie and then we feel like crying, so how the mind reacts, and like what actually the mind is doing in those moments. So we get a lot of surprises of how our own mind works. So it is a very actually fun exercise. So we can all try to do that.
Yes, and remember that reality, the TV is not so fake, because actually what the mind receives is sights, color and form, movement, sounds, and thoughts. With reality and with a TV. That's why it's so addictive. The screens are so addictive, because actually it's like living faster, experiencing much more, and traveling the world. But the mind in itself is receiving the very same objects, sights, sounds, and thoughts, and the mind is processing them. So actually, what is unreal, if it exists, is not so unreal. What kind of content are we surrounding ourselves with, and what kind of mental reactions is it generating? That is our responsibility. Yes. Okay, so Lupita, please.
While you were talking about forgiveness, I remember a talk from Bhikkhu Nandisena that gave about forgiveness. And I remember, because it makes a very impact to my mind.
Yes.
That he said that actually that word didn't exist in Pali. So when the Buddha talked about that, he talked more about be resilient or be tolerant towards others' defilements.
Yes.
By taking as a background the reflection that they are subject of anger, delusion, and greed.
Yes.
Just as we are.
Yes. Yes. What we are doing, thank you, Lupita. Yes, Lupita, as you said, the word, and Guillermo, regarding your question, because it's based on the same, yes, there is no word in Pali for forgiveness. It is, when we look at the ingredients, yes, what makes the problem, as Lupita said, is ignorance, anger, and non-patience, or an attachment to the situation. Yes, that is when we take an X-ray, the only things that come out as the source of problem are chetasikas, the ones that we already know from chapter number 2, and the medicine to go out are their opposites. Opposite of anger, metta. Opposite of moha, wisdom. Opposite of attachment, detachment. So intolerance, etc., kanti, patience. So yes, with the 52, if we try, my dear family, big invitation to try to see the same situations of our life through the lens of the Abhidhamma, you will see how clear it becomes, because it's like taking an X-ray and understanding piece by piece what kind of ingredients are present. Thank you, Lupita, very much. If you have it, please share, or if you don't have it right now, send us to WhatsApp, and then we share with all group that we are, all this group is connected. Thank you very much.
Okay. So,
okay, everybody okay?
Everybody
yes.
okay?
Still have like a half hour.
Yeah, we continue with the content. We are still in the half actually. So last week we promised to tell you about the different qualities of the kusala, and this is what we are going to look at now. Okay, so we are here, and then now we are going to continue with the Kamavachara Kusala Kamma, sincere wholesome Kamma, in its different qualities. So now, as we all know, we are quite familiar with this already, then every kind of wholesome actions are based on these three roots, which are alobha, adosa, and amoha. Alobha, non-greed; adosa, non-hatred or non-aversion; and amoha, non-delusion. No, and so with these Amoha, there are many different levels. There is the first one, which is kamma and its result. So knowing that there kamma exists and its result exists, meaning cause and effect, action exists and there will be result. The next one will be vipassana wisdom, understanding the nature of things. What is mind, what is matter, and what are the causes of them, and what are the causes and conditions. And then the nature, their own individual nature, and also the how do you call it? The sabhava and
the intrinsic
characteristics of things, which are impermanence, non-self, and unsatisfactory. No? So all these kinds of wisdom,
anicca, dukkha, anatta.
Yes, is called vipassana wisdom. And later we have magga wisdom, which is the one that totally eradicate from the root the different kinds of defilements in different level of magga. No, so but here, if we are talking about just daily kusala kamma, then the one that we are putting a little bit more attention is kamma and its result. So we know when we are doing something good, we know that this is a good action and there will be a result.
A good result will follow.
Yes. Okay. So now you may also remember that metta and alobha and adosa, non-greed and non-hatred, they are universal cetasikas, while panya, wisdom, is occasional. That means it's not always there. So whatever wholesome actions there may be, it is always together with alobha and adosa. And sometimes when there is an understanding of kamma or understanding of cause and effect, then occasional wisdom will also be included. So therefore, wholesome kamma can be divided into two groups. This is kusala with 2 roots and kusala with 3 roots. Yes, until here, everything okay? So when we do, yes, okay? Yeah, okay, when we do some kind of wholesome actions without understanding of kamma and its result, then it is kusala with 2 roots. But when we do good actions with the understanding, then it is kusala with 3 roots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now then we are talking about the kamma itself.
So, jnana sampayuta, you remember? Accompanied, this is a mental process or a mental unit accompanied by wisdom. This is the top, especially when it is non-prompted. When we just naturally have it, that means wisdom is really running from the inside. It's already on.
Okay, now, in these 2 types of kusala kamma, with 2 roots and with 3 roots, it can still further be divided into different qualities, which are inferior or lower quality and a superior or higher quality. So there are now we come to divide them into 4 types: 2 roots with inferior quality, 2 roots with superiority quality, 3 roots with inferior quality, 3 roots with superior quality. Okay, so now the question is, okay, in Pali it's called omaka, inferior kusala, and ukata, superior kusala. Now the question is, what makes a kusala kamma inferior or superior? And what happens and what kind of result? How are they different?
That is the question.
Yes, so it is going to be interesting. Now we're going to explore about this. So what makes our action, when we do it, a good action, inferior or superior?
Just to know, the good action is performed. The good action is done, but it could be done
mentally, or verbally.
Physically, in all the spheres. But we can still do it with a very with a degree of quality on it. The seed is planted differently. This is another dimension towards good behavior, towards morality or ethics, as we were saying now. It is not just the doing of it, but the how of it, and the quality and the el abono, the manure that was put around the seed and the care that we did. Okay, so
if a kusala action is done with pure intention and a pure mind, also preceded and followed by kusala thoughts, so meaning before doing the action we have kusala mind, And then while doing and after doing, we also have kusala mind. This is called a superior kamma, superior wholesome actions. And if it is remembered again and again, also by the person, that this is called a superior.
This is premium quality, premium. How you say that in the banks, like the VIP, not the VIP, the premium, superior quality.
Yes.
It's
so
well done elegantly from the beginning, the middle, and the end.
So pure mind and good intention, meaning like we're doing the wholesome deed purely because of the wholesome deed, no? And also the mind is with good thoughts before and after, no? Now, sometimes someone can do an action with a polluted mind or with a polluted intention. In this case, this action will become inferior. Although the action is done, it is still a wholesome action, but it is not done so nicely because it is polluted by the intention. Or if the person, he didn't have good sila previously, and then he do the good action, so it is also of less quality. So an example could be someone may do some good thing, thinking that, oh, if I do this, then other people will praise me, or they will think that I'm a very good person. Or we can do some good things like, okay, I give some charity so I don't have to pay tax.
Chafa.
Or maybe if I do this good and that good, I will become famous, or whatever of these kinds of intention. Would
pollute and make the action okay is good, but actually the intention, let's remember, chetana is the very thing that plants the seed, not so much the action. It is the intention with which we did the action. So actually it can be at times more powerful, the wrong intention of doing good because of self-promotion or whatever. So many ways.
Yes. So if the action is done with defiled mind and impure intention and preceded by akusala, so a person just did some akusala and then he did another good action, so this is a little bit less good action.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, less quality, let's say. Okay, so this is one point. And then another point that we have talked about this some time ago. So if the mind is happy before, during, and after this action, then this is an action, the wholesome action, which is considered superior. And if at some point, after doing the meritorious deed, sometimes someone may regret and think, oh, if I didn't do it, give that away, that I might have used it for myself or for my family. And so in this case, if at some point there is some regret after doing the kusala action, then it will become inferior. Okay, so now here is an interesting information that Sayadaw U Silananda gave. He said that if one regret after giving, let's say take the action of dana or generosity as an example, if one feel regret after giving, then one will still get the result of giving in the future life. So he might have a lot of material properties, or he might be rich, but he will be a kind of person that he doesn't want to make use of those results. He will be a very stingy person. So although he could be a millionaire, but he does not want to use things that are expensive or good. He likes cheap things.
He has the conditions of a rich person, but the mind of a poor one. Yes. So although he can spend plentiful, his mind is still poor. So the quality of the good action was planted, but not the mental quality, the joy on the generosity, on the use or the use of the wealth was not planted in the mind. So it has the good conditions, but mind is still trapped.
Yes. So
we have seen that it's very easy to see these kind of combinations in society. Very often in our own family, I can recognize this thing. And sometimes we may say, hey, but this person, how come this person is very bad-hearted, for example, someone else, but he has a lot of good conditions. My dear family, kamma is really, really complex, really, really complex. And often, as we have seen, material gain and abundance does not directly mean inner well-being. Often is dissociated, unfortunately.
Yeah, so mental cultivation is more important, no? But of course, whatever good deeds we do, it will give good result and it will be helpful. Okay, so let's continue. Now, so we have understood what makes an wholesome action,
good quality or
low quality, no? So now we come back to kusala with 2 roots that have low quality and superior quality, and those with 3 roots as well with low quality and superior quality. Okay, so now let's see the resultant that they will give, because it is going to be different. Now, for kusala with 3 roots, let's see this one first, the one with low quality and the one with superior quality. When a kusala with 3 roots, which is
when a kusala, otherwise
when
one kusala,
wholesome action with 3 roots, which is being done, something is missing there in an inferior way, then the result that it gives as patisandhi will only be 2-rooted. So even the action is done with 3 roots, with wisdom, but the result, because it was inferior, the result it can give, it cannot be a superior result. It becomes less. So it can, when it generates a new life with this kusala, although it was done with 3 roots, it can only generate a rebirth with only 2 roots.
Yes.
So this person can only be born with a 2-rooted rebirth consciousness. Meaning, remember, he won't get jhana, he won't be able to get enlightened in this life.
Yeah, nature, it's very, very fair. It's a very good accountant. So if we have not enough credit for a good quality rebirth, it will not borrow, it will not make a loan. Okay, you almost there, go through. Nature will just get what there is and never invent anything. It will just give whatever we cultivated. That cultivation, my dear family, it's our actions today. Right now, what our mind is doing is that cultivation, that means responsibility of our own process now and in the future.
Yes. So remember, when we do kusala, it is important, and even we are doing it with understanding. But if we are not happy about it, or if we feel regret after, then the result it can give, it's not so good. It becomes 2-rooted, so it's kind of wasted. So make sure that when we do kusala, that it is with a good quality, because the result it's going to give is better. Going to be a 3-root.
The fruit will be much better quality. In terms of in Pali, this will be with somanasa. You have joy. You are doing the good.
Also.
Yeah, but with somanasa, we will have a much more intense effect. We know that we are doing good. We know it's going to give good fruit, and we are joyful about it. That's why the sadhu is like a kind of celebration to say we did good and we are happy about it. So we are kind of planting the seed of goodness and leaving manure and water to it. So when it develops, it gives better quality.
Yes, when Pante mentioned about somanasa, the meaning that not only precisely in the moment when we are doing the action, but also before we are happy about it,
and later on,
we are happy about it, and later we feel it's so nice that we have done that. We're happy about the action, no? Because as we know, the 8 types of mahakusala, it's also upeka is also possible, no? So those are also good actions. So those can also be superior. Okay, so now we see that in patisandhi time, the 3-rooted kusala can give result if it is inferior 2-root, if it is superior 3 roots. Okay, now how about during lifetime? Then during lifetime, okay, Jamila, say hi.
Okay.
Yes.
We haven't finished,
okay.
Huh?
Okay, so during lifetime, if the kusala 3-rooted result give yes. Okay.
And so stays, when we finish, we see that. Okay.
Okay, so during lifetime, if it is inferior quality, it will give the 8 ahituka kusala vipaka, which is the eye, ear, nose, tongue, taste, receiving and investigating consciousness, as well as 4 mahavipaka, which is only 2-rooted. because panya is not associated, no, in this case, because the 3 roots, although it is done with 3 roots, but because it is inferior, so the result it gives cannot be with wisdom anymore. So wisdom is gone in here. So these 4 Mahavipaka Chittas are those ones that actually functioned as Tadaramana during lifetime, if you remember. Okay,
the aftertaste of the mental process. You remember?
Aftertaste, or the one that follows the jhana.
It wakes up, it perceives, then it's active, like it does something with what it received, and then it has the taste, and it goes back to Bhavanga. The mind goes back to, shuts down a little bit, and then whenever there is another sense impingement or a thought, it wakes up again to attend it, and then naturally goes back to this restful or neutral state. So Tadaramana will be the aftertaste of it. It checks for the last time the object and goes back to sleep.
Mm-hmm. So for these
millions of times per second is doing that. Right now, it is going on and off. It is like a flame sparking. The flame is not only one thing staying, it's actually combusting. It is exploding and exploding, disappear, exploding, disappear. That works for physics, that works for matter, that works for the mind. Consciousness is never steady. That's why it changes. That's why it has so many colors. Otherwise, if only one state, we will have only one single mental state forever. The mind is alive and combusting, push, moment to moment. And Tadaramana is part of it, Javana is part of it, and it's moving, apparently. Okay, chaval.
Okay, say hi.
Say hi, chaval. Hello. His name is Enzo.
Okay.
And he recently fell in love with chess. So now we are showing him very much. He fell in love. Good, chaval. And okay.
Okay, so now let's go to the lifetime result that is given during lifetime for the kusala with 3 roots, which is done with superior quality. In the same way, it will also give the ahetuka vipaka, which is the sense consciousness, and as well as the 8 Mahavipaka Chittas. So in this case, all 8 of them. So including those jnana sampayutta, including those that are associated with wisdom as well, in the sense of Tadaramana, like the following, no? Like the aftertaste, or sometimes the example given by the teachers are like the waves following the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's see the other results as well. Now we go to the kusala with 2 roots. Now kusala with 2 roots, and in inferior way, when it is giving patisandhi result, as you can imagine, it goes 1 grade down, no? So it can only give a rootless resultant in this case.
Not very good.
Yeah. Then if it is a superior, then it will give 2 rooted in the same way as it has been done, no? So the kusala with 2 roots superior give the same result as the 3 root inferior one.
So it is like an overlap.
Mm-hmm.
3 roots inferior and 2 roots superior, they come together to do the same result.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a reminder and to make the perspective, my dear family, we are in chapter 5 and we are exploring the intricacies, the details of kamma. So we can see sometimes a good action, depending on the way that was performed, it is the result that it will give. And there are many variants that gives a change towards the direction of our good and bad actions. Nature, there are some tricks to nature. If we learn clearly how to manipulate them in our own experience, meaning doing good with wisdom and joy, my dear family, we can assure a very good yield on the fruits that nature will unavoidably present to us as long as we are in samsara. The key is in our hands. Wisdom, the knowing, it's the key. We can not control but lead the process to a beneficial state.
Okay, so let's see the lifetime result as well. So lifetime result It's almost finished. We
Okay.
still have 6 minutes, no?
Yeah,
It's good enough.
that is in terms of energy.
Okay, so the during lifetime result, if it is inferior, it will give only the 8 kinds of sorry, not 8 kinds, but this ahetuka, rootless resultant. And if it is superior, it will give the ahetuka, rootless resultant, as well as 4 mahavipaka without wisdom, as Tadaramana, no? Okay,
I think
so
we will need to repeat this.
okay, so is everybody okay until here?
We're at the end, and I'm saying to Charana that we might repeat these details on when we are fresh on the next week, because as I understand, we have explored already sometimes on these details. But yeah, let's just go through right now as a menu, and I suggest, if Charana agrees, we check the details on next week, because now.
Yeah, there is
not so much, but we revise this very end. This tip, we revise it on a fresh the next week. Next week, let's just go through it, and then we are about to close.
Then it's okay. So if we are going to do a short revision next time, so we can stop the projection here. And if anyone has any questions or
how are we? What do we bring home? What do we feel inspired for this week? Let's make a little touch base, and then we close. How is everyone?
Yeah, for me it was really congruent and important to listen to this part about the priority of putting first the sila than the bhavana, because I've seen that a lot, like in yoga places or other types of contemplative practices, that they start right away with the meditation, and many people is like, I don't feel better. I mean, it's supposed to be like a panacea, I don't know how to call it, but it's not. It's important to have first a base, as you mentioned it. I've experimented myself, and I've seen in many other people. And I think that was like really important for me today, to keep it in mind.
Yes, we agree strongly with it, and we need to take care. It's a fortune to be able to check the course of events, how the Buddha expressed, and very often in terms of commercializing the teaching. I mean, I know it is so much mindfulness this, mindfulness that, mindfulness such, but very often the problem, it is very well sold, and it is very useful, and it helps a lot, but very often many important things are taken away because they don't have very good marketing. This is the same thing. Even promoting morality for me is hard, because people don't want to listen to that. So, okay, let's take the morality away. Let's just focus on the relaxation aspect of it, and the whole thing collapses. So, my dear family, whenever you see, now you have a better eye to check. Whenever you see a course, a training on mindfulness, you start checking if it is based, if it has foundation. Otherwise, unfortunately, many people, beyond this task, beyond not having benefit, many people even report anxiety and more stress and more even fear. We tell you, because people has come to our house when we were in Mexico, after a workshop on mindfulness. I'm not saying that everything is bad, but they come very agitated because people show the students how to open the box, but they don't tell you what to do with the things that you find in the box. So many people has come to us trying to make sense. What do I do with the things I'm looking to it? So we need to give all the tools and be very sure that we are providing towards to oneself, and be sure to if we are going to pass this, pass it complete. You know how to open the box, and you know what to do with what you will find inside the box. You will find negative and positive. Rejoice on the positive. This is the way to deal with the negative. Yes, Cass, thank you so much. Someone else? No one?
So we can close.
Okay, so let's close, my dear family.
Okay, so
Guillermo, then we go to advertising.
So say goodbye. Thank you. I'll bring, I'm just to say that consciousness, wisdom, happiness, the generosity, the good intention, all these concepts, all these ideas to be practiced in everyday life, it is not a prohibition. It is a motivation to do it every day in a very good sense of just doing with the joy of being a better person. That's something that I really feel deeply in my heart.
And wisely. Moral, ethical, and wise. Oh, that would be the top. Thank you, Guillermo. Thank you, everyone, so much. Really, thank you, Charana, because today I have to confess that it was a very emotional for me. At some point, I was really touched before, looking at the clarity and the blessing we all have to be able to see with such detail, not because of what we are preparing or anything, the Buddha himself, how he recognized the ingredients, and beyond any ideas or prejudices, he just explained how nature works. May we all rest in this assurance: nature, goodness exists in nature. We have that, and we can promote it, polish it, and develop it to heights that we have no idea, my dear family. We continue in this week. May all our family, friends, whoever is having difficulties in terms of sickness, worry, or economic or even aggression that is happening on the streets, confusion, may all of us generate the spaces, and may we be an agent that can help these spaces be developed. Let's listen more and more and hug internally all the beings for our well-being. We think in all the countries, all the tensions that are happening in the United States, we have two sisters right here, and Cass also has family there. So we think on all of them. We really wish that wisdom and sheer common sense and logic comes into these situations. So hopefully it doesn't escalate to more. We wish for that, and peace can come with justice for all of us. May all beings be free. The same Loba, Dosa, and Moha is attacking all of us. We have a common enemy. Everybody, knowing or unknowingly, may wisdom, may the light of wisdom come and dispel all this darkness. My dear family, all the blessings for all of us, our families, and especially those people who suffer more than us. Sabitiyo piwajantu sokoro bawanyasatu mate bawat wantarayo sukhi dikayo ko bawang abhiwadana silisa nichamuta pakchayino chataro dhamma vadanti ayuvano sukham balam bhavatu sabha mangalam rakantu sabha devata sabha buddhanu dhammanu sanganu bhavena sabha sukhi bhavantu te. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We share the fruits of our efforts to be together here trying our best. May we get many fruits in this week, my dear family. Best of the luck. See you next week. Goodness exists, and there is a method. There is a method. Happiness exists indeed. Even in these troublesome times, it's still going on inside. We must just access this fountain. On our side, we are not intending to stop. If we are still alive, see you next week. Thank you for everything, my dears. I love you.
Thank you, everybody. I didn't have time to do the advertisement, but we are coming to next week. We are going to look at the resultants of jhanas, the other wholesome actions of the rupa jhana and arupa jhana, and then we are going to finish the section of kamma, and we are going to open a new topic, which is quite interesting, and it's about death.
Wow, what happens after this thing? No se pierde el próximo capítulo a la misma hora, al mismo canal, ladies and all the blessings, my dear family. I love you, really, really. Thank you. I'm very, very fortunate. May all beings benefit from our efforts. Thank you so much. Sadhu, sadhu,
Thank you, sadhu. Thank you. Thank you, Karuna.